What's up, YouTube? Demi here with another build guide. This is a Corrupting Cry warbringer, where your max block, you have lucky block chance, you're pretty tanky, you're blood magic, so you don't have mana problems, and if you run into issues, all you have to do is start screaming. You just scream, you know? And then once something dies, your Ascendency gives you those on death. You can detonate corpses, sorry, for a percentage of their max health, and that just kills everything else. It's quite silly, very safe. Let me just see if I can stand here without dying. Uh-oh. Oh god, oh no, I might die. Nah, I think we're good. Most builds just die if you do that, but this one, you're pretty safe. You can kind of just do whatever you want. And then for single target DPS, let me see if I can find a rare real quick. You have some shield charge mobility, you got leap slam mobility. You Infernal Cry to detonate things when they die, and then afterwards you can detonate them again with their corpses from your Ascendency. Every time you Warcry, you detonate corpses and they deal percentage of their max health as Fizz. So you can kind of scale the Fizz that way. You can scale percent Fizz, which scales your Warcry corrupting blood damage and also your detonate corpse damage. So it just kind of works real nice. It's pretty chill. This is a T15 map with some mods on it. Well, we got extra chaos, monster damage, bonus, crit chance, you know. I'm trying to find a rare, but I'm not seeing one. There's one. Okay, so for rares, they're a bit tankier, right? Like, you can scream at them. Where's the rare go? Here. No, he's dying pretty quick, actually. But if you need to, you can drop totems, and they do a lot of damage. The build's pretty cheap to gear. All your gear is basically just life resist strength, which I guess we'll go over after the map. But yeah, I just want to showcase the map real quick. I think this is probably enough. It's pretty chill. You can just kind of vibe. If you're worried, you can start screaming, you know? If you want to jump over things, you got leap slam. You want to drop totems, which drop earthquake aftershock thingies, which you can then detonate with your Warcry for even more damage. Oh, here's a rare. Alright, buddy, come over here. Oh, no, he's just dead. Yeah, alright, cool. So, let's go talk about this. Guys, leave me alone. I'm trying to open a portal. As you can see, you can cast really fast if you want. It gets a little silly if you hold the button with the jewels that I have, but let's go talk about this. So, we'll start with the Ascendency, I guess. You basically have to go warbringer with this. There's no other option for Warcries, but the main things are Warcaller's Bellow, corpses in your presence explode and you Warcry, dealing 25% of their life is physical damage, so you scale with the health of enemies, which means this scales infinitely into higher tier content when there's corpses around. As long as you can kill one thing, you can probably detonate it and kill everything else around it. After that, you get Great Wolf's Howl to ignore Warcry cooldowns. Before you get this when you're leveling, you can use the Dade Bell unique helmet. It's a helmet that lets you, it basically gives you this, detonate, but it's only 10% for new Warcry, and then it gives you a little bit of extra Warcry stuff, but you don't have this cooldown reduction until you ascend twice, so this allows you to just spam forever. Before that, there's like a cooldown, you can just spam it like 5 or 10 times, and then you have to wait a few seconds, so it's kind of annoying to level, but after that it gets easy. And then I went for Renly's training, which is 40% base chance to block from your equipped shield instead of the shield's value. Because we're using Svalin, it only has a 26% block chance, so this sets that to 40, and then you can multiply this 40% with all your other percent block chance to get up to the block cap, which this gives you minus 10% max, up to minus 20. You want a minus 10, obviously, so that you can get the 65 out of 65 block for your max. And then the last thing is Turtle's Charm, which gives you less block chance, but you can get enough block from the tree and from jewels that it doesn't matter. And this allows you to block all damage from all hits when shield is not raised. So as you can see, I never raise my shield, but it counts as you just having it up all the time, basically. So you can block like AoE, range attacks, slams, everything at once. All that sort of stuff with Turtle Charm. It's pretty silly. So the skill tree, I don't really know how to showcase the weapon slot 1 versus 2 thing well. So it's safe to assume that anything with block chance is related to weapon set 1, and then anything with totems is related to weapon set 2, which we'll go over in a sec when we get to the gear. But the skill tree is basically just a bunch of like strength, because it's hard to scale the corrupted cry. Seismic Cry, sorry. Seismic Cry just does a little bit of knockback, and then gives you some stun buildup basically, but the damage is coming from Corrupting Cry. Corrupting Cry gives the enemies corrupted blood, and it deals 25% of your strength as physical damage per second. It's not bleed, so you can't scale it with magnitude to bleed. It's a bit awkward to scale, basically. You need like damage, physical damage, that's about it. But as you can see, the damage here is 2.1k. It's hard to scale, honestly, but I only have 2 damage supports in here, and that seems to be enough with my skill tree to do the damage. But yeah, block chance, strength, more Warcry stuff. You get Reso Technique, which I don't really know if it matters. I don't think the Warcry counts as a attack hit, but I guess it just says your hits can't be evaded, so it's good. Again, anything with strength, this is damage per 15 strength. This lets you wield 2-handed weapons in one hand, but it triples the attribute requirement, Giant's Blood. So that leads to your offhand, which is just 2 big-ass maces. We'll get to those in a second. Can I swap back? Weird. Wouldn't let me. Yeah. More Warcry stuff, more physical damage stuff, more attributes and strength-related scaling. Again, totems are weapon set too. And then up here, we get some max res, we get some Warcry, we get some blood magic, so we don't have to worry about mana cost, because if you screamed this fast with mana, you'd run out of mana immediately, and that's annoying. And then, of course, a bunch of jewels. So, jewels. You need enough block chance from your tree and jewels that your weapon set 1 is block capped. So I don't know how many exactly, but I have a bunch of these 5 to 7% block chance jewels with like fizz damage, Warcry speed, weapon swap speed, because we are swapping weapons fairly regularly. Again, I can only press swap once for some reason while I'm in the menu, but this one I didn't need block chance, so I just went for damage, area of effect, Warcry speed, weapon swap speed. Again, block chance, fizz damage, Warcry speed, weapon swap speed. Magnitude of bleeding doesn't do anything. It was just a 5 mod corrupted. Don't worry about that. It was just already on there. Block chance, fizz damage, Warcry speed, weapon swap speed. You're noticing a trend here. They're all basically the same. Fizz damage, Warcry speed, damage with Warcry. So that is only going to affect the initial hit, as far as I know, of your Seismic Cry, which does a little bit of flat fizz at the beginning. Like 700. This is irrelevant. The bleed is what you care about, and that damage with Warcries I don't think scales the bleed. Other jewels, let's see. I think this one is also block chance, fizz damage, Warcry speed, weapon swap speed. You notice a trend. They're all literally the same. So why they're like that is because our weapon sets. Set 1 is just a scepter with some spirit and some strength and int on it. That's it. That's all you really care about. If you can get some reduced attribute requirements so it takes even less int, great. You'll need a little bit of spirit so you can use all the auras we're using, but as you can see, I have 129 unused that I can't use because I don't have the gem sockets for it. So you don't need this much spirit. Just go for high strength, high int. All your gear is strength, basically. Helmet. Black Sun's Crest. This gives you % increased strength. Great. You can also get % increased dex and int. The higher the better, but it gets pretty expensive when they're all really high. I went for a corruption with life regen on it because we're blood magic. That is our mana pool basically, and it just helps to have a little more defense there. Shield, Svalin. We talked about this kind of. Block chance is lucky, means it rolls it twice and gives you the higher option. So like if you rolled a 50% chance and you needed a 60, it'll just roll it again and pick whichever one's higher. It's really useful. It does reduce your block chance by a little bit, but a minus 10% max block is like 50x. They're pretty cheap. For corruptions, you can get life gain when you block. You can get max block, which is really expensive. You can get, I believe, 3% max block corrupted, which will put you up to 68% block with lucky, but you need even more block on jewels to compensate for that at that point. I don't have that. I just have life gain when you block. Amulet, life, +2 of melee skills. That is important because it allows you to level up your totem, which we're going to go over for the damage. That's for your rare damage. So get +2 here, get life, get strength, get all attributes. You'll need some int somewhere, whatever. Rings, life, strength, resists, same shit. Life, strength, resists. You might need some dex. That's it. Chest piece, a little bit of spirit helps. You don't really need it with your scepter, but if you can get it for your second weapon set, it's helpful. But otherwise, life, strength, resists. Try to get a regen implicit base like this. Again, it's the same as your helmet, so it's just a little bit extra regen. You have some on your tree, some from your auras, some from these 2 slots. It just helps you stay alive, basically. Gloves, +2 of melee skills. Because of, again, same as the amulet, it's to scale your weapon swap warrior totem. Strength, life, resist. Boots, movement speed, ideally 35. I don't have that. Life, resist, strength. Belt. You can get belts with instant healing as the implicit, 20% of flask supply instantly. If you're worried about like panic healing, that's useful. I don't have that. I just have flask life recovery rate so that my flask heals me faster. Otherwise, life, strength, resist. You can get a bit of extra armor here, great. It doesn't do that much. Don't worry about armor, it's kind of shit in this game. I'm using a thawing charm for when I get frozen, which doesn't happen that often as a high life-based character. It's just kind of there if you want it. You can use a stun charm, you can use a poison or like antidote if you want. You can use a rarity one, it doesn't matter. If you have a better belt with like plus charm slots, then use as many as you want. Use frozen, rarity, pick your poison. Mana pot, literally pointless. You don't need this. I don't think there's any. There might be a unique mana flask that's better, but I think there's only one that's like actually a mana pot, so not important. Life flask. So you can use this life recovery and removes life from mana when used. It doesn't do anything because you don't have any mana, so you just get twice as much life recovery from the prefix, the sapping prefix. I believe it's 90 to 100%, so it's really good to get that. And then I try to went for either reduce charges or increase charges used, so as many as possible. As you can see, I have 114, so I can use this 11 times before I run out, and it heals me 2.2k per, which is over half my life pool. So you're pretty safe in longer fights, in addition to your like life regen and whatnot. But you want to make sure you're res capped, so elemental res capped, chaos res capped. Use the runes for whatever you need. I have chaos res on most of mine. I need a little bit of lightning res here. This is just all res. This is chaos res. This is chaos res. Your offhand. Your second weapon set. These look really stupid because they are. The way that Ancestral Warrior Totem scales is it uses its own weapon and deals a bunch of base damage based off the level of the gem. So, we don't care about the physical damage of these weapons. We don't care about leech, attack speed, crit, none of that shit matters. All we care about is plus level to melee skills and strength. So the highest this can go is +7. Both of mine are +6 because once you get to +7s, they get pretty expensive. But these were like 20 or 30x each. They're super fucking cheap for just +6 and some strength. Other stats, again, irrelevant. I threw stun build up on these because it was cheap. And like it means that you can stun rares and bosses a lot more reliably with how hard this warrior totem hits. But yeah, these are cheap as shit. All the gear is cheap as shit. The scepter's cheap as shit. This can get expensive if you get a nice corruption, but just -10 or -11 block chance is really cheap. All the other gear, super cheap. So, skill gem, whatever. Seismic Cry is your main damage. It just gives a little bit of knockback, does a little bit of fizz damage, but the main thing here is Corrupting Cry, as we talked about. This gives it Corrupted Blood, so you can get up to 10 stacks of Corrupted Blood, each one dealing like 2.1k damage for me, so maxed up, that's 21k DPS. Doesn't sound like a lot. It's not. But once a regular mob bleeds out, your Ascendency pops them. I keep reading the button for this. With this, and because we all have that, we have a bunch of increased damage and increased global physical damage scaling, this multiplies that to like, I don't even know, like 5 or 6 times their life as maximum physical damage. So they just pop and then everything dies, and it's great. Other links, we have more non-ailment damage over time. That's one of the only things that scales Corrupting Blood. Same with this, more physical damage. No Chaos Elemental, that's fine. We're just pure physical here. And then I have a link to increase area of effect and break armor equal to 50% of fizz damage dealt by the supported skill. You can just spam this because it's so cheap. You can just hold the button with all your speed spamming. That little bit of fizz damage will do enough to break their armor eventually, which allows your totems to do more damage. It does not affect the bleed damage on this, or sorry, not bleed, Corrupted Blood, it's not bleed. But it does affect how much damage your totems do, so you can just kind of strip their armor with this, Corrupting Blood them to death, explode them, and then your totems will slap them really hard. This shield also gives you cast on block, I didn't mention that. So in your cast on block links, I have it linked to impetus, so it gains more energy quickly. Every time you block, you get a little bit of energy, and when you have enough energy, it casts the spells in here. I have it linked to Orb of Storms, which counts as a object that creates something, so you can drop Font of Blood. Font of Blood gives you life regen. Again, just a little bit more life regen with your other life regen sources. And then I have a link to Frostbolt as well. Frostbolt drops Chilled Ground, but it's only like in a line, like column thing, so it's not super useful. You could probably find a different link there. I just threw this in because it was like, oh, maybe Chilled Ground will help a little bit, but if Orb of Storms manages to shock something, that's also a little bit of damage. That doesn't happen very often because we have no lightning damage scaling, but it's there if you want it. Other auras, I guess we'll go through all the non-aura stuff first. Infernal Cry, this allows you to basically internally ignite things so that when they die to your bleeds or your totems or whatever, they explode and they deal, let me look at the combustion, hang on. I don't even know how to how do you read this damage scaling? I don't know, it does a lot of damage when they pop. But it's mostly here so you can use it with Raging Cry and Dazing Cry. Daze is like a stun, and Raging Cry just gives you rage, which is attack damage, and attack damage scales your totems, which is great. I also have a link to mobility, so you move a bit faster while using it and less cost. This is wherever. You don't really need this here. It's pretty cheap. It's only costing me 36 life down to 22 life. Doesn't matter. If you don't need the AoE from Seismic Cry and Seismic Cry is killing you, you can put less cost here to make it 50 life instead of 99 life, but it doesn't really matter. Put whatever you want. I have a Leap Slam linked to Holy Descent. Drops Consecrated Ground when you land. This only works with your offhand, your 2 big weapons, because you can't Leap Slam with a Scepter, so it's just when you land you get a little bit of life regen and reduced curse effect. It's not super important, but it's nice to have. Shield Charge works with your Scepter, so I have that linked to Stomping Ground just for a little bit extra damage. Not a lot, because we don't do that much attack damage, but that's fine. Increased cooldown recovery rate, and 2 uses, but less cooldown recovery rate, so you can Shield Charge twice in a row before, oops, I unequipped it, before you run out of charges. It's just like some ability when you need it. Most of the time you're just walking around and pressing this every once in a while, so like, you don't really need Shield Charge, but if you killed all the mobs near you and need to run to the next area, you can Shield Charge to the next thing like that. So, Ancestral Warrior Totem, as we talked about, you just care about levels here. I actually need to level this up to 19. I didn't realize that was only level 18, but when I weapon swap, it gets plus 16 levels. And I could get 2 more for my weapons, so it could be plus 18 levels. And I think this can go to plus 3 melee skills, so that'd be plus 19 levels with a level 20 gem. It gets kind of silly. The damage on this goes crazy. Like, look at the level difference. It goes from 111 to 167 at level 18, plus 4, to 445 to 667. It gets kind of crazy with the scaling. So this uses whatever you link to it. We have it linked to Earth Shatter. Earth Shatter drops fissures, which you can then explode with your war cries. So it's like having the corpses from your Ascendency, basically, but the totems make them. So this is for bosses when there's not a lot of corpses around, or if you just want to drop totems for like a preemptive burst on like an Essence or a Breach or something, you know, you can do that. And then we have the Earth Shatter linked to more attack speed, more maximum physical damage, additional fissures, so you have more things to explode with your war cries, and then more melee physical damage and less attack speed from heavy swing. And then we get to the auras. So we have Overwhelming Presence. This makes things easier to stun. We just have all your auras. You can put these anywhere, wherever you have room. We have 4% life recovered on kill, life regen with the auras active. And then our other auras, we have Time of Need. This heals you every 10 seconds with linked to less skill effect duration and increased recovery from life less while it's active, which is all the time. This is just like a random spot heal, basically. It's not super useful because it's so rare to happen, but it removes curses and ailments as well, so it could come in time, or it could come in handy when you're, what am I trying to say? Like, say you get frozen or something, this could remove it right away. It also looks like I need to level this up. It's only level 13 for some reason, but we have Scavenge Plating. When you break enemies' armor, it drops these little thingies. You get armor based off that. It's pretty helpful, just a little bit extra phys damage reduction, basically. We have the link to more skill effect duration and +1 level of physical skills here. You could put this in your plus level of physical skills here, but I believe these gems are more damage, so maybe just keep it here. And then for our another defensive aura, we have Blasphemy, which allows you to have a curse around you as an aura. We have that link to Enfeeble, and I don't think this works. I put this in here so that the curse would spread, but I don't think that works unless you manually cast it. It does let you link it, so I'm not really sure, but that might not work. The other 2 gems do work, which is increased effective supported curses and increased AoE on the supported curses. If you don't need that AoE from Seismic Cry, again, you can put this here. If you want a bigger, like, around you AoE of minus damage, Enfeeble just gives them minus damage dealt, which is nice. But yeah, you'll have to keep your int gems relatively low level. I only have 124 int with my int and all attributes here, and my int from this. I believe that's all the int I have anywhere. Oh, and this increased intelligence from here, but I have no int on my tree, so you'll need to keep your blue gems pretty low level. I believe all of my blue gems are level 13, and all of your red gems can go as high as you want. You're not using any green primary gems, so you don't need a lot there. You'll just need a little bit of dex to be able to have all of your green gems equipped. But I think I have, yeah, I only need 5 out of the 16 slots I have, so it's pretty easy to gear. If you want to be more tanky, because I have so much extra spirit, I was thinking I could get an unset ring if I can figure out the resistances elsewhere. I think I can drop this, actually, and be fine. Yeah, I don't need this all res. No, I need a little bit all res. I can figure that out, though. I could swap this to an unset ring, because I have 129 spirit left. I could then add Grim Feast, which is when you kill things, it's like a 50% chance to drop an energy shield fragment, which instantly heals your ES up to twice its capacity. And then I could swap my gloves, my chest, my boots for hybrid energy shield armor gear, or just pure energy shield gear, honestly, because armor is useless. And then you'd have another life pool basically on top of your life, which would be nice. I already have some armor and energy shield scaling. I have energy shield scaling, sorry, on my amulet, just because it didn't add any cost. It was just already there. So I was like, oh, maybe I should use that. But I haven't gotten there yet because I'm kind of broke at the moment. I'm waiting on stuff to sell. I found these gloves yesterday and they're kind of insane, so I'm hoping they sell for a lot, but we'll see. As for amulet anoints, I'm using parrying motion, which is down here. Every time you block in the past 10 seconds, you get 1% movement speed, and it's 12% increased block chance. So if you have jewels, I got this, and it allowed me to drop block chance off of 2 of my jewels, I think. 2 or 3 of my jewels, I forget. Yeah, this one's a block chance. But if you get this, it allows you to go really fast in maps. I don't have max movement speed on my boots right now. They're only 30%. So normally I'm running at, where's my movement speed? 19%. I've seen this go all the way up to 50% in maps because I'm blocking so many small hits. It just starts spamming 1% movement speed on here. So if you want to go faster in maps, this is great. There's a bunch of other options that are like, this one's pretty nice, escalation. More Warcry speeds, you can spam faster, and then damage for each Warcry you've used recently is kind of nice. I don't really know what other, you could just get a bunch of like max res or more block chance. Attack damage does not help you, so don't do that. This one's kind of nice. More life when you block, so with that and this, I'd get 40 life on block, which is okay. But you don't usually die to a bunch of small hits, so it's not super important. You just want to find stuff that gives like generic damage or like armor. I don't really know what other nodes you could use offhand. The life recoup stuff is nice. You could go for life recoup as well. I believe you can get that on your amulet. Or your, I don't know if you can get it on your chest, but life recoup's kind of nice because you're blood magic, so everything hits you in your life pool, and it'll just like heal you back up afterwards. There's another life recoup node somewhere around here, but I don't know where it is. I don't know. But yeah, that's all the gear. I think that covered everything. You have any questions or comments or concerns, or like want to see me play this live? I'll probably be streaming after I post this video, so twitch.tv/demi. It's probably been down here a few times in this video. But yeah, it's been fun. It's just like a chill build to like run around screaming at mobs and be pretty tanky while doing it. The only time you're vulnerable really in maps is when you're laying your totems, because you no longer have block chance. So you just have to be really careful with that. Like, don't walk up to a boss in melee and then drop your totems. Like, try to be away from the dude, drop your totems. You can have 3 and then switch back to your block immediately. With your weapon sets, I didn't talk about this, but you can set it so they only work with specific weapon sets if you click this little button down here. That's really important because it means you can press this button and it'll automatically swap to that weapon set. And when you go back to your screaming, it pulls out your shield for you. You don't have to weapon swap. You don't have to weapon swap manually, I should say. It does it automatically. So just make sure that you like set these so they only work with the sets that you want them to work with. And some things can only work with certain sets, but yeah, like I have all of my Warcries set so they only work with weapon set 1. So that if I need to Warcry, it pulls out my shield, which keeps me alive a little bit better. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one, and that'll be Demi out.